Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. You can also hit the bell icon below to get notifications every time new content comes up. After you've seen the short video, please do let me know in the comments below if you have tackled a task like this, and if you would have tackled it the same way, or if you have a different method. Let me know. Please note, ripping up the floor and taking off the dot and dab wasn't an option, so let's not go there. Okay, so let's get started. The task was to soundproof this bedroom. Yep, as you can imagine, it raised some eyebrows before every time I mentioned that to someone else, but nope, that's not why it's being soundproofed. This bedroom is directly above the noisiest part of a pub, so you can imagine they weren't getting much sleep. So the solution I came up with is apparently supposed to reduce the noise levels by up to 75%, and with the feedback I've received so far, it seems to have done the trick. So here I am gluing and nailing true studs to the wall, and I've put the whole frame up horizontally and not vertically because it's not structural and therefore didn't need to be made up with noggins or anything in place. The reason for me using true studs is because 90% of the time they are straight. Why give yourself the extra headache trying to find straight timber, right? Right, so on the back wall there was also a socket, if you can see, just where my true studs kind of covered up. I took the socket off and stuck some Wagos on there, and I will decide later on with the client what he intends to do with that. So you can see that the true studs were installed and spacing is quite large, but that was intentional because I didn't want to cut down the rock wool insulation. So that goes straight in, nice and snug with minimal cutting. There's a little bit of cutting involved at the bottom because it's slightly smaller, but that's easily done. So here I am covering up the wall with a very simple weed membrane, not to stop weed from growing. It's basically just to hold back the insulation. Plus I don't like rubbing up against the insulation, so it's best to keep it covered up. Some people don't actually mind this stuff, and I see them working without any PPE. It's all over their arms, all over their face and stuff, and they just carry on. I honestly don't know how they do it, but I can't stand this stuff. here is the first layer of soundproofing going down on the floor. This super sticky stuff, Tech Sound Suprema. It's not the lightest product either, by the way. It's approximately 47 kgs per roll, hence why I was giving it a bear hug. It's self-adhesive, and thanks to its weight, kind of holds itself in place whilst you peel back and stick it down. This one is a viscoelastic membrane, very flexible and absorbs all impact vibrations. So here you're going to see me screwing the slats back onto the acoustic membrane behind, and this is basically because we've cut all the staples off that were originally holding in place the slats. So here I brought the client in to discuss the sockets prior to closing up, and I suggested instead of having the one socket behind the bed, which was absolutely pointless, that he should have one double socket either side of the bed behind their bedside tables. So I've seen some methods in my time of cutting in sockets or back boxes into slatted panels, and majority of the times the ones I've seen and people giving their tips and tricks is just horrendous. So this is my method. It takes 10 minutes, if that. Just cut a few miters, a bit of glue, and your trims are made. So here we go. Now that we've marked out exactly where our sockets are going to go, I've decided to go freehand with this one and cut the trim in. However, when it came to the second one, I decided to glue a bit of trim onto the slat panels and rest the multi-tool on there. And remember, if you do this, glue the trim to the part that you're cutting off and not onto the wall, which is going to remain. So this is it. This is the last trim going in now, and it's also the end of the video as well. If you want to see the finished product, please make sure you've subscribed and you've hit the notifications down the bottom, and you'll get notified once the second video comes up. Until then, have fun on your building projects. Catch you later.